Hey yo, football fans, it's another great year. Fantasy Football Fiends, grab your beer. Giving you the best draft tips for all your picks. Starts and sits to the waiver wire fix. From my drafts galore to stats that's hardcore. Triple F does it all, have y'all screaming more. So sit back, relax, let the experts prevail. JT Magnum, Siggy guns never fail. What's up, fantasy football fans? My name is JT Magnum, and this is the waiver wire pickups for week 4 for your fantasy football season. You guys have asked, I'm delivering. You guys wanted a waiver wire show, so here it goes. I also, just so you know, DraftKings is still up. Feel free to click the link in the bottom of the description if you want to join our draft leagues. League, the Fantasy Football Fiends League. We run contests from there. You're welcome to join those contests. It's usually $1 to join or more. I usually leave it at $1 so that, you know, the most people can get in and have some fun. You get to battle me and Siggy on that. But let's get into this. For quarterbacks, for waiver wire pickups this week, let's talk about a couple. First is Trevor Siemian, had like 4 touchdown passes against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's getting a hold of that offense. He's got Demaryius Thomas. He's got Emmanuel Sanders, Virgil Green. He's got some weapons on the perimeter. He's got some weapons in C.J. Anderson at running back. He's just starting to really get the hang of it, and he's not even owned by most fantasy football leagues. I believe it's like 2% owned, but the last couple games he's done very, very well. And I'm looking for a lot of people that are having those quarterback issues, people with quarterbacks that just aren't cutting out to pick him up. And he's got a light schedule. If you look at his schedule, he's facing a lot of teams that haven't done well against the pass, haven't done well, period, at all. So the other one would be Carson Wentz. Believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this. A rookie quarterback in Carson Wentz, who's barely owned as well, hasn't had a turnover the whole year. And it's crazy being that he's a rookie. Hasn't had a turnover, 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Playing unlike a rookie, playing like he's a seasoned vet. And he's another guy that he's playing in that NFC East. Not much defense going on there in that conference. And the Eagles have a great defense this year. So, but more on that in just a moment. Let's get to running backs for pickups because there's a lot of them. There's so many injuries going on. This is going to be a little bit longer for the running backs. But Christine Michael was one of the first ones. He is over 60% owned in fantasy football leagues. But the thing is, people are dropping him, picking him up. They don't know which one to start because of Thomas Rawls. But now news today, Thomas Rawls is out probably about 7 weeks. I guess the leg was a fracture, not contusion like first reported by the Seahawks. And now Christine Michael becomes a hot commodity. He ran for 100 yards yesterday against my 49ers. And he's going to be a guy that people are going to come to start now because Seattle does like to run the ball a lot, especially with Russell Wilson being banged up a little bit as well. He's another guy actually you need to look at in the injury report, Russell Wilson. You don't want to pick up their quarterback, but just to make sure that maybe you have another serviceable backup in case you have Russell Wilson, you need to stash him for a while. For more running backs, Dewayne Washington from the Detroit Lions. Obviously, Amir Abdullah's out. Theo Riddick is not the guy really for running. If you have a PPR league, then obviously you want to keep Theo Riddick for that reason. But I'm talking standard scoring here. So for standard scoring, you want to look at Dewayne Washington. The guy is a big dude and he runs fast. And they need him to run in between the tackles. Theo Riddick is not that guy. Hasn't shown that he can do it. I haven't seen him do it. He's more of like a scat back type coming out the backfield, catching passes, and Dewayne Washington is that guy for Detroit. And look for him to get a lot more carries, especially in the middle. And he's a guy you might want to pick up if you need some running back help, if you have some guys that have been injured. Jordan Howard from the Bears, another guy that's barely owned in any leagues because people have Jeremy Langford and people have Kadeem Carey, and he's a guy you got to watch for. I'm not sure which one will end up starting because Jeremy Langford got hurt. He had a sprained ankle. Not sure if he's still going to play, but if he doesn't, then you want to pick up either Jordan Howard or Kadeem Carey. Keep an eye on which one is going to be the starter, which one is going to play the most, because it looked like Jordan Howard was the man yesterday, but that might be because Kadeem Carey was nursing a hamstring injury, I believe. Don't hold me to that. I'm not sure, but I believe it was a hamstring injury. But Jordan Howard took the bulk of the carries after Jeremy Langford went down. And even during the game, he took some of the carries from Jeremy Langford. So look for him to probably be the guy, but also check out Kadeem Carey because I'm not sure what his status is. Cameron Artis-Payne was the surprise pickup of the week because, and not many people still owned him, but it was maybe it was because Carolina surprised everybody and just named him the starter, despite Fozzie Whitaker having a good week prior. Fozzie Whitaker was the man against San Francisco, but then all of a sudden Cameron Artis-Payne comes in and now he's just the starter. So Fozzie Whitaker is going to back him up until Jonathan Stewart gets back. So he's another guy to look at. Now with Rashad Jennings down and now Shane Vereen almost out for the season, and we're not sure yet about if he's out for the season or what's the deal with him, but Orleans Darkwa becomes another hot commodity. He's barely owned. I think it was like less than 1% in any leagues, unless you're in one of those deep leagues that have a deep roster. I'm happen to be in one of those. I'm in like a 21-man roster, and it's so deep it's hard to even get any players, but Orleans Darkwa was another guy to pick up. Paul Perkins is a guy not many people are talking about. It could be one of those Cameron Artis-Payne, Fozzie Whitaker situations where Orleans Darkwa was, he might be the guy that did well, but Paul Perkins might be the guy that ends up starting and Orleans Darkwa backing him up. So you got to look for those two to see which one ends up playing. Rashad Jennings is still nursing an injury. I'm not sure when he's coming back, so monitor his situation as well. And then the problem with Philadelphia, Ryan Matthews has a sprained ankle. Not sure what his situation is. So Wendell Smallwood took the bulk of the carries yesterday, along with Kenjon Barner. And I'm not sure which of these two are going to start. So Wendell Smallwood and Kenjon Barner ends up being the two guys. Darren Sproles could be the man too. Darren Sproles is owned in a lot of leagues, but Darren Sproles is one of the guys that you use on third down here and there, and he's for passing. He's not a run through between the tackles guy, so I don't see Darren Sproles as being that man. So he'll probably stay in his role where Wendell Smallwood and Kenjon Barner ends up being the main first and second down backs. Whew, that does it for running backs. That was a lot of running backs were injured yesterday. A lot of what was going on, so it was a little crazy. Wide receivers almost just the same. Terrell Pryor, he was one of my favorites. He burst out the scene yesterday, playing quarterback, playing running back, basically throwing the ball to himself. I don't know. I made a joke with my friend today that he was just throwing the ball up deep and then going to get it himself because he had like 8 catches for 144 yards, I believe. He completed like 3 passes. He had some rushing yards, a rushing touchdown. The guy was just all over the place. He's a guy you want to pick up, and Josh Gordon's coming back soon. They have no quarterback in Cleveland, so they're going to be using him all kind of different ways, and you want a guy that's going to be, I think he got like 80-something snaps yesterday. You want a guy that's on the field and going to get the ball in his hand the most, and that's a guy you should pick up. I think he was like 2% owned because a lot of people dropped him thinking that he just wasn't going to be involved, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's involved. Obviously, when Corey Coleman went down. And, of course, with the Josh McCown injury. Jamison Crowder from the Redskins, only 1% owned in a lot of leagues, which is surprising because he's a good PPR guy for you PPR people that love that. He got a lot of catches yesterday. I think for just 78 yards, but he did get a touchdown. He's another guy that he came in, especially when Deshaun Jackson went down. He's been getting a lot more targets lately for the Redskins. As Kirk Cousins gets a lot more comfortable with him. Adam Humphries from the Bucks. 8 catches or 9 catches, one of the two, for about 100 yards yesterday. Mike Evans is taking so much off of him, and he gets a lot of quick screens, lots of passes like that. They like to get him out open in space. He's one of those guys with a lot of speed. He's a punt returner kind of guy, so you want to get those guys out in space, give him quick screens and things like that, and he's just making it happen with those things. So you gotta like a guy like that. Plus, he's a threat to go deep. So you want guys that have the potential to either score off the catch or just gets a lot of catches just in that sense for your PPR guys. Doyle GreenBeckham. There's news coming out of Philadelphia that apparently they're going to get him more involved with the offense. Nelson Aguilar is okay, but he's not working out as much. And you got to use this big 6'5", 240-pound guy that can run a 4.5. You got to be able to use guys like that, especially in the red zone. They're saying that when they get to the red zone, they're throwing it up to the wrong guy. They should be throwing it to him because he's 6'5". He needs to get, and he can get up and catch the ball. I've been saying all along, this is a guy that you want, if you have a deep league, you want to stash him because they might end up using him later once he gets more accustomed to the offense. I think he's starting to get the gist of it, so they're starting to get him more involved. And this is a guy that can be a game breaker at wide receiver. He has that potential. And he's only, I believe, 1% owned or less than 1% owned in a lot of fantasy football leagues. And number 5, here's a guy you want to stash. Chris Hogan. Tom Brady's coming back. And when Tom Brady comes back, they're going to use this guy. I've seen it all. I've seen it a million times with Tom Brady. He can make a wide receiver just break out. And Chris Hogan's the guy. They were using him when Jimmy Garoppolo was there. They were throwing deep to him. They were throwing a lot of quick screens to him. They were getting him out open in space. This guy can make plays, and he's one of those players that when he goes to New England, he's just going to do well. And where he obviously failed at Buffalo because they didn't really utilize him, and Tom Brady's going to use him. When Tom Brady comes back, he will be involved in that offense. He's a guy you want to stash. He could be a PPR and a yardage monster for you, and get a lot of touchdowns. The tight ends now, let's talk about a couple. First is Jack Doyle. He's actually third in fantasy football scoring for tight ends according to NFL.com standard scoring. He's only 1% owned, and he's a guy that Dwayne Allen was supposed to be the man in Indianapolis, but for some reason Dwayne Allen hasn't been utilized, or maybe they're just covering him really well. So Jack Doyle has been the guy that stepped up, and he's been the playmaker for them right now. So he's a guy you might want to look at in case you're having a tight end that's injured or a tight end that's struggling. Cameron Brate is another one. Austin Farion Jenkins was released by Tampa Bay and apparently just picked up by the Jets. But who knows when he's going to play? He might be suspended. I'm not sure what the league's going to do with him. But he's a guy that he's also 8th in tight end scoring at the moment. Tight ends have not been a big commodity this year. There haven't been much going on with tight ends. It's been the wide receivers and the running backs that have been taking all the scoring this year. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that's due to Gronk being hurt, due to Jordan Reed not playing so well. But I'm not sure what the situation is with that. But Cameron Brate's a guy you want to look at, especially if he's being targeted a lot with Mike Evans on that team and like Adam Humphries playing well. And Jameis Winston needs a tight end to throw to. Let's get into defenses now. First, the Eagles defense. I talked about them earlier. They're 6th in fantasy football scoring. They've been playing very well. That Jim Schwartz defense, remember when he was with the Bills? He had that Bills, they were, I believe, number 4 ranked in the NFL at that time. He left. In comes Rex Ryan. The Bills have sucked since. And when it comes to defense, except barring yesterday, which I'll talk about in a second. But anyways, the Eagles are 6th in scoring. They're playing very good defense. Held a Steelers team with Antonio Brown, Roethlisberger, all those weapons to 3 points. You don't hold the Steelers to 3 points and that not just be some fluke thing. The Eagles are playing some great defense, and that's a team that you might want to pick up if you need a good defense. If in case you have one of those defenses like the Raiders that you thought were going to be well or do well, and that happen to be last right now in scoring, or teams like that. The Bills. I was just talking about them, how they were horrible last year and horrible at the start of this year, but then yesterday they pick it up big time, get a bunch of interceptions off Carson Palmer. 3rd in fantasy football scoring at the moment, and they're flying on high cylinders right now. They're pumped. You know they're going to blitz. You know they're going to be very, very aggressive on defense, and you want that. You want a team that can probably take it to the house too on special teams, and that's a team that can do it for you with all the weapons they got on special teams and a lot of the linebackers and the way they play defense. So that's another team you might want to pick up in case you got a team in a bye week this week, or in case you have a team that just is, like I said, is struggling. The Ravens is last, and they're 8th in fantasy football scoring. They're actually surprising me. I didn't think they were going to be this good. They kind of give up points, but then they start doing a lot of takeaways. They're doing it with takeaways, I should say, and just playing solid defense, just all in all. So those are 3 teams there for you to pick up on defense, and that does it. So guys, leave comments in the comment section. If I left anybody out, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you guys have any questions on waiver wire picks, feel free to ask them in the comment section. Help each other out in the comment section. You know, be nice to each other. I always say it in the comments. You know, if somebody's asking a question, you feel like it's just a dumb question or whatever, don't tell them that. You know, be nice, answer the question, and move on to the next one if you want to help somebody else. But keep it clean in the comment section, or else I just have to delete it, you know, and then your comment just won't be there, just won't exist anymore. All right. And like I said, don't feel free to join our DraftKings league, and then join our DraftKings weekly contest. I think it's like $1 every time. If it's a little more, then it's somebody creating it, but other people can create contests as well. If you want to join mine always, you know, I always will put my name on it, or you'll see that it was created by me. Those are the ones you want to join if you want to join. If you don't feel comfortable joining somebody else's, you don't have to. You don't even have to join mine, but feel free to join it if you like. I'll usually put it for like $1. All right. So for Fantasy Football Fiends and the Waiver Wire Show, JT Magnum, I'm out. Peace, y'all.